Welcome back to the Dirty Truth. This video is going to be for Professor Dave and Aaron Ra. It's going to be on the Dinosaur extinction event and why evolution can't be correct. Alright, so Professor Dave and Aaron, now that I've done a few videos, talking about what a kind is, this kind of proves, Noah's Ark is real, which proves God is real, making the Bible true and relevant. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put that final nail in the coffin for evolution, then we're going to set it on fire, right? So let's take a journey back in time according to evolution. This is a great video to watch, The Last Day of Dinosaurs. All right, this is by Reuniverse, Y-O-U-Niverse. All right, this video breaks down the last day of the dinosaurs and the meteor that hit the Earth. It explains how it heated the atmosphere before it hit the Earth, causing fire. So as it's coming down through the atmosphere, it's compressing the air, it's superheating it, and it's causing flash fires, right? Then it talks about the impact and, the blast shock wave, and that it circled the Earth a few times faster than sound. It talks about the earthquakes. It says that the magnitudes were 11.2. And then it also says that it triggered all of the volcanoes to erupt, which is going to be very important here in a minute, right? And then, from the eruptions, that starts burning everything more, and then it also blocks out the sun for years. But all of that in conjunction with causing acid rain. So, the acid rain, poisoned the ground and all the water supply. It goes on to say that 75% of all life on Earth died because of this event. Now, it doesn't say it, but it implies that all plant life has also died because, plants need sunlight and they need water to live. So, all of the volcanoes blocked out the sun for the video that I'm going to talk about later says 30 years, but up to about 10 years, between 5 and 10 years probably. And then it poisoned the ground, so the ground is now acidic and all of the water is acidic, right? So so if all the plant life is gone, what did the 25% of the remaining population of the Earth, all of the animals, what they eat? So it talks about the animals that could survive. These were probably animals that burrowed into the ground, right? So you got, I don't know what kind of animals that would be, burrowing animals, mammals, right? But what did they eat? There's no food, there's no water, and then not only is there no food and water, how did they survive the flooding? So the asteroid would have caused 100 meter high tidal waves. Now, it wouldn't have covered all of the Earth, but it would have covered a lot of the Earth in water. So anything that was in the ground would have drowned for the most part, and then the remaining life that was left, it would have died through starvation and nothing to drink. All right, so then it just kind of jumps into the Cenozoic era, where it says that these clouds that were blocking the sun dissipated over several decades. So not one decade, not 2 decades, because 2 is a couple, 1 a singular. So that would be 3 or more decades. So a minimum of 30 years, right? Before plants could even start growing again. So even if you had animals that survived, the initial blast and heat, in which it says, in the video that the surface temperature, and I don't know if it means specifically, in the blast area, like in the Americas and South Americas, or if it means for the global temperature. If it's the global temperature, then nothing could have survived. But it says that the average temperature was 150 degrees Celsius. So that just the air temperature would kill you. And then you got the earthquakes and the floods and crazy winter. So there, and then there's no food and water, so nothing could have survived that, right? So if you got 25% of the life living, what'd they eat? What'd they drink, right? So last I checked, monkeys and apes were tree-dwelling animals, not cave-dwelling animals. So where did they come from? Now remember, you got 65 years to go from fungi mammals to humans, right? You got to get to apes. You got to get to some kind of mammal that creates the apes, and then apes, and then from apes to humans in 65 million years. So the whole billions of years math for evolution is right out the window, because since, by science's own account, 65 million years ago, all life on land died. Now, I would also venture to say all mammal life in the sea died. If there was even any left to start with. I say this because the atmosphere was toxic. So it's raining, it's raining acid. So all of the surface, and then when it goes into nuclear winter, all of the surface water freezes, or most of it does. So the air is toxic to breathe. If you're floating on the top of the water, that's acidic. So now it's eating you up. So none of the water mammals could have survived, right? So you can't blame this on the flying spaghetti monkey. That's how y'all mock God, right? You say God is a flying spaghetti monkey, because this is what science says. This isn't based in religion. So this is only what your science says. Now what God says is that there was a mass extinction event, and that He was the cause of it. He said why He did it. He said how He saved everything, the animals and which race. And then He said what He put them on, the ark. He said it says where the ark landed, which we found it. So He gives an account of how He did it, why He did it, and how everything survived the extinction event. Science says, there was an extinction event, but then all of the stuff that they say means nothing could have survived it. So for evolution to be right, it has to have reset 65 million years ago. So the flying spaghetti monster here is actually science and evolution. So you both talking about Aaron Ra and Professor Dave, you both seem pretty intelligent people, but you're just letting yourselves be deceived here. And then anybody that believes in evolution falls into that category. So now we do have things today that have adapted to live environments similar to this. But if I was a betting man, and I am, I would bet that science explains that over millions of years and through evolution and natural selection that these animals adapted, right? So that's a pretty weak argument, and there's lots of problems with that. Your flying spaghetti monster is starting to get kind of moldy and stink here, science, because there's not millions of years to adapt. The big rock slams into earth, and now you have to adapt now or die. So you got a couple of weeks up to a year to adapt to the environment, right? Not billions of years. So let's talk about what you would probably say. This is what science thinks, right? So 58 million years ago, which is 7 million years after this extinction event, right, lived the Plesiadaptus. This is a thing that looks like a squirrel that's crossed with a llama. And this was a tree climbing rodent that will eventually give rise to the primates. So there wasn't any trees or vegetation right after the event. So where'd it come from? It didn't survive the event, because nothing would have survived. There was a whole bunch of different types of these things called Plesiadaptiforms, right? So the earliest was the Purgatorius, and could have lived 65 million years ago. So this is where they say it started. So 65 million years ago is when the rock went kabang, and then all of this tragedy happened. So it didn't. There's no way it could have survived because it was a tree animal. There wasn't no trees left. What did it eat? What did it drink? Right? So you know, they say that it lived off of insects. Well, the insects have to have vegetation or you know, other insects, but all of that would have died. So there's no food supply for the animals that you're talking about. So these things couldn't have survived the extinction event. All right. So a great video to watch is the Chicxulub impact event in real time. Right. That's the name of the video. And what this shows like the tidal surges, the earthquakes, the sound pressure blast wave, shows stuff like that, right? And it shows it by second up to the first, the end of the first day, and then it just kind of fast forwards all the way up through, I think it goes through year 10, and it shows like the nuclear winter, so how it got really cold and then it started getting warm again, you know, kind of stuff. So it's a really boring video to watch because there's no talking. It's just a time, you know, it's just clicking the time off, and it shows a bunch of different graphs on how what it would look like, you know, by the second. And then you got the Chicxulub, the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, and that was done by Geographics. All right, now in this video, it talks about two different extinction events. It talks about the first one that was 252 million years ago, and this one killed 96% of all species on Earth, and that was due to volcanoes. Now, I'm gonna a little fun fact about volcanoes that's going to be real prevalent here in a minute. The longest word in the English language is pneumo ultramicroscopic silicovolcaniconiosis, right? And what this is a lung disease. Basically, it's like black lung. It's a lung disease that you get from breathing volcanic ash or you know, small dust particles. So volcanic ash is like breathing in ashy glass, right? And it's not curable. Okay, so 252 million years ago, a bunch of volcanoes went off and it killed 96% of life on Earth. All of science agrees with that, right? So in the video, he breaks that down. He breaks down the asteroid event, and then explains that the point of impact was special and why it was special. But then he points out that the asteroid alone wasn't what killed everything. So the point here is that 252 million years ago, with just volcanoes, 96% of life died on the planet. That's what science says. And then 65 million years ago, this big rock slams into it, and because the rock hit the Earth, it set off, according to the video, all the volcanoes. So it doesn't say how many volcanoes went off 252 million years ago, but it does say that 65 million years ago, all the volcanoes erupted. Okay? So it's a worse event than 252 million years ago, but science would have you believe that 25% of the life survived a worse event than survived a lesser event before. How is that possible, right? So the reason why I said that pneumo ultramicroscopic silicovolcaniconiosis comes into play here is even if the animals survived the fires, survived the floods, survived the earthquakes, survived the acid rain, managed to have some kind of stored food that would last up to 30 years, because I say that the vegetation started coming back within 5 to 10 years, and the video talks about 3 decades, so that's 30 years before plants started growing. So even if they had stored food, right, they're still breathing in the atmosphere because the volcanoes block the sun out. That's what causes the nuclear winter. So everything on Earth that's breathing air, not fish, because the water would filter it, but everything that breathes air, every mammal and land-dwelling animal, and sea, water-dwelling mammal breathes air. So you have to breathe this volcanic ash. There's no way around it. It's everywhere on the planet. Even if the volcano in Yellowstone erupted, it would cover 2/3 of the United States in volcanic ash that's like 3 feet deep. So just think what would happen if all of the volcanoes went off. So all of the rest of the animals that survived all of this tragedy now have black lung. That's not curable. If people get it today, you can treat it, through medicine to make you functionable, but you can't fix it. So the animals 65 million years ago, of course, can't go to the doctor and get on oxygen treatment. They would have just died. All of them. All of them. Okay? So, So why would science say that 65 million years ago, 25% of the life survived, and 252 million years ago, only 4% survived? Because that supports evolution. Because if you say all of the life reset 65 million years ago, evolution can't explain how we've got everything today, right? So are you feeling a little stupid yet? Are you starting to see the fallacy in the evolutionary logic? It wasn't billions of years ago. It was, if it's correct, it was only like 65 million years ago. And that's for life to have started over from scratch, which also means, now this is important, nothing. You really got to understand this, right? The point to this, nothing alive today is related to the bones found in the ground because there was a reset event, right, that happened 65 million years ago. So this also means you would have to change that evolution tree that you show, that everybody clings to, where it's talking about the amoeba did this and this, and it branches out into everything that we have today. No, you would have to start 65 million years ago. So you're saying that tree is only 65 million years old, not 4 billion years old, right? And then so it also is saying, like, small animals like squirrels and raccoons and rabbits, these are the rodents that change into the mammals today. So that's because that's what survived. According to science, that's what survived the asteroid hitting, right? So all of that stuff turned into everything that we have today. And I mean, the more you try to put all of the pieces to the puzzle together in one big picture, the dumber it gets. So, I mean, it's just so stupid. So, y'all debate people like Dr. Kent Hovind. So why not me? I bet it's because I don't have a degree that you can pick on, and I have a really sound logic that can't, you can't defend it. The challenge is open to anybody, but it's aimed at Professor Dave and Aaron Ra, and but I'll take on anyone. Surely not all evolutionists are cowards and can actually defend what they believe. All right, so I'm going to leave you with this thought in this video. So I've defined what a kind is, and I've been very specific. I've done this in a couple of videos now, but it's in the DNA, right? And we can prove it. This is scientific. So whether you want to take the religion aspect of it, or you want to just take just the pure science, DNA is what a kind is. It's specifically in the DNA, right? And so this is how good we are with DNA, with reading DNA. I'm gonna give you a scenario. So let's say you're a cop and you've got a murder rape crime scene, right? So you got this person that's been raped and murdered. So you get some DNA from the crime scene. All right, you take this to your lab and you get a DNA profile, and then you turn it in to You know, you see if there's anybody in your system that fits that DNA profile, and then if it doesn't, then you go to the FBI, right? And they put it in CODIS or whatever it's called, and they see if they've got anybody in their system that matches that DNA profile. And if they don't, then what you can do is you can make a family profile from that DNA, and then you can find people that are related to that person and see if they're in the system. Now they don't even have to be criminals. They could have done something like Ancestry.com where they've sent in DNA and now their name is in the system. They just need a name, right? Somebody that's kin to this person, and they can tell how close of kin they are, and then they'll just go to the family and start asking questions about the profile, about the person that fits the profile, and then they'll get once they get it narrowed down to a couple of people, then they can get a court-ordered subpoena for the DNA for that person and then charge them for the crime. They solve cold cases like this. So that's how good we are at reading DNA. So when they trace the human genome back to Adam, which they can, if you do a DNA test right now, they can trace you all the way back to Noah's sons and then tell you which one that you're a descendant of, and then they can trace the Noah lineage all the way back to Adam through the Y chromosome, right? And then with the Y chromosome, it also gives they can tell how many mutations between father and son there are. So it gives a timeline of how old this DNA is, and it's based on young Earth. It's like 6,000 years old. This is provable, and the science community accepts the proven data. The people that published the article, and I've said this in another video, the people that published the article, the leading guy is an atheist, and so he's got this one guy, and then with the Institute of Science or whatever, they do these tests, and then they published an article, and they unanimously said that this information is correct. So that's not science. I mean, that's not a religion. That's science. So when they do the DNA trace of people, there's not any apes in it. It doesn't go back to an ape. It goes back to Adam. So, the evolution is dead. That subject is dead. There's the coffin nailed tight, and we just lit it on fire. So nothing could have survived the extinction event. So for evolution to have any kind of validity at all, you have to show anybody that says evolution is right. You would have to show how we have everything that we have today in 65 million years. Can't do it. Not only can you not show it there, when they talk about evolution and the amoeba that started everything 4 billion years ago or whatever, the water was poisoned 65 million years ago, so even the amoeba would have died. So try it. I'll debate anybody. Please like and subscribe to this video. Please leave some comments. If you're going to leave comments, and you want to say something negative, hey, I support that. Say whatever you want, but don't just troll me. Put some information in there. Bring something to the conversation. If you got a point against what I'm saying, by all means, post it. But post something that contributes to the talk or to the debate. But like and subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Have a great day.